Hello and welcome back to Ferrigno Freedom channel. For those of you who are returning, I sure do appreciate all of you who have been watching for these 3+ years that I've been here talking about ways to make America healthy again. I didn't realize that was the wording that I was going to be using this time in my life, but I've been so happy about the changes that I've seen going on the public scene when it comes to health and food that I'm 100% excited about this new movement that's going on, starting with RFK and Callie Means and Casey Means. And I really want to say, I think Jordan and Mikhaila Peterson were huge influences on what has happened here, because not only was Jordan Peterson's experience on the carnivore diet the impetus for me changing my health. For those of you who haven't watched this channel before, you should go back and check out 125 Days on Lion Diet, my very first video where I did 125 days of eating only meat, water, and salt. It has changed everything for me, and it started basically what I'm doing here, because I was just going to make one video talking about knowing that I was going to lose some weight, that this might be something interesting to people. I had no idea the effects it was going to change on my overall life. Physically, mentally, spiritually, I am a totally different person. And it all started with changing the way I eat, because our system is so full of poison and things that are not food. And when I say our system, I mean our food system, especially here in the United States. I had no idea how bad it was until I went to Italy back in 2006. I spent 2 weeks over there eating a lot of restaurant food, even street deli food or street vendor food, and I was told you might want to be careful about that. But what I found that was interesting was that when I got back to the United States is when I got sick from eating the food, because I had been off of the poisonous food that is available on the shelves over here for a couple of weeks, and that was enough for me to get a lot of my health already changing in the right direction. Even though I wasn't eating health food, I was still drinking wine, eating pizza and bread and all that stuff. But just getting away from that made enough of a difference to where coming back to the United States made me sick from eating the food here. So I had an inkling of the idea back then. But now, after all the research I've done as a result of the changes that Lion Diet has done for me, the carnivore diet that I do, it is truly mind-boggling how big this issue is. For you watching this video right now, what's going on with our food and healthcare system is very important, if not the most important thing that we could talk about today that's going to change your life individually right now is what you eat. All of the other things that they want to talk about in politics, we're not going to be able to fix those problems by a long shot. But this is one area where we individually can take the reins of our life and bring back our health and lead by example for our families. Well, I want to take a look at this video called The Full Senate Speech. It's not very long. It's only 8 minutes, thank goodness. It's got Mikhaila Peterson talking about the health and nutrition situation here. And I thought it would be interesting to hear what they had to say together. So let me go ahead and bring this up here, and we'll go ahead and kick it off.
The problem is, most people don't know that what they're consuming is making them sick. They know junk food is bad, but they don't realize it's causing chronic disease, and neither do their healthcare providers.
Our next presenter is Mikhaila Peterson Fuller. Ms. Fuller is a podcaster, lifestyle, and diet blogger, the founder and CEO of Peterson Academy, and the founder of Fuller Health and the Lion Diet. The Lion Diet is a therapeutic and plant-free ketogenic diet that can be used to treat autoimmunity and psychiatric disorders. On the Mikhaila Peterson podcast, she discusses health, cultural phenomena, politics, and other topics. Ms. Fuller.
Thank you very much. I'm going to skip my intro. When I was 2, I started to limp, and at 7, I was diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis in 37 joints. At age 8, I was put on injectable immunosuppressants. At 12, I was diagnosed with severe depression and put on antidepressants. At 14, I was diagnosed with idiopathic hypersomnia, which is a fancy definition for chronic fatigue, and I could barely get out of bed for years. My hip and ankle were replaced when I was 17 from the arthritis that wasn't managed by the medications I was on. And I spent a year on OxyContin, limping around what felt like broken bones, trying to stay hopeful and not kill myself. I went to university for biomedical science when it became apparent that nobody in the medical system could help me, and the life-saving treatments I was on weren't saving my life. When I was 23, I completely changed my diet, which was radical, and I didn't think it was going to work. I removed processed foods and only ate whole foods, primarily meat, and my life changed rapidly. I felt like I had stepped out of hell I didn't know that I was trapped into heaven. It turned my world upside down. Then I had to get off of the medications I was on. Antidepressant withdrawal, that neither me nor my doctors knew existed, was worse than the opiate withdrawal I had been through after I was treated with OxyContin. After I stopped taking the 8 medications I was on and had a baby, my autoimmune symptoms and depression started sneaking back in. And willing to do anything to not be sick, I tried, and this sounds ridiculous, but I tried eating only meat. And by that I mean beef, salt, and water only, knowing beef was the one food that didn't contribute to my arthritis and depression. Eating only meat put my symptoms into remission again in 6 weeks. I've only been eating beef and lamb for 7 years now in order to keep my symptoms in remission. I'm not on any medication. I have no symptoms of disease. I'm in complete remission after spending 16 years being medicated with multiple joints replaced. I spent 7 years trying to get the medical community to take this seriously and conduct some studies. The plant-free ketogenic diet I'm on, which is what it is, it's gone viral on TikTok, has over 500,000 people following it on social media. The number of Google searches for these ketogenic diets has skyrocketed since about 2017. I have groups online with over 30,000 people who follow the same diet as me for autoimmunity and mental disorders that they've been unable to treat any other way. These people are putting their diseases into remissions after decades. This way of treating disease has garnered international attention from the Times to Fox to Sky News Australia. The problem is, most people don't know that what they're consuming is making them sick. They know junk food is bad, but they don't realize it's causing chronic disease, and neither do their healthcare providers. When you're diagnosed with a mental or
They also don't realize that what we think of as not junk food is junk food because it's just made to look like food. So many of the products that are on our store shelves are not even close to being what they claim they are. When you read the front of the box, most of the stuff it tells you on there that are good for you are only true from a certain point of view. As Obi-Wan Kenobi said when he was trying to explain why he lied to Luke Skywalker, they're only true from a certain point of view. And that point of view is skewed against your health. If it talks about being heart healthy, you can probably count on the fact that it's not good for your heart. If you see something that says low sugar, that means they put something else in there that you're not going to want even more than sugar, which is pretty darn bad by itself. So we're at the point now where sugar, which is bad enough on its own, it's highly addictive and horrible for what it does to your body. It causes insulin resistance. It causes organs to grow too fast. It causes so many different problems, including chronic inflammation, which leads to more issues within our body. But now sugar isn't even the worst enemy we have out there. We got high fructose corn syrup. We were told for years, high fructose corn syrup, well, it's fructose, it's fruit sugar, so it's the good sugar, right? Well, actually, it's far worse for you than regular sugar is because at least sucrose, which is what sugar is, can be processed by all the cells in your body. Fructose is only processed by your liver. And fatty liver disease used to be something that old alcoholics got, not something that young kids got, not something that people serving in the Marines got. But these days, there are so many cases of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease that it would seem like there's some kind of epidemic going on. Well, when you see high fructose corn syrup in everything, it really kind of explains the problem. When you start to realize that it's the other things that we've gone even further, sugar is like the starting point for what you want to get out of your diet. When you start looking at all the other ingredients that are on the box of most anything that you put in your mouth, even the stuff that's on the health food shelf, I'm telling you, you have got to change the way you look at this food or this stuff that's on the store shelves. When I go shopping, I only go down the aisles where all this garbage food is just because I got to walk past it to get to the meat department. And that has changed everything. Not only has it changed my health, changed my life, made me happier, lost weight, I'm feeling the best that I ever have in my entire life, but now I'm in and out of the store in less than 10 minutes in most cases, unless I'm ordering the meat to be cut the way I want it. And you can call in the meat order ahead of time. And that's the beautiful thing about this, is that it is actually simpler too. I don't have to spend much time thinking about food because I'm just going to heat up a steak with some salt on it and that's it. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? I love every single meal I eat and I know that it's doing my body good. I couldn't be happier about this situation. Jordan and Mikhaila point out how difficult it is and how crazy it sounds, because it does sound difficult and it does sound crazy because we've been lied to for so long about what's in our food. So you've got to come around to that understanding that what's in those boxes, anything with a barcode on it practically, except, I know meat has a barcode on it too, but you get what I'm saying. If it's got a list of ingredients and it's got packaging and it's a box and a bag inside, it's not food. For the most part, that stuff is not food. And when I say for the most part, I don't mean just a few things are okay. There's like 1% of whatever's in that stuff that might not be harmful for you. But even then, is it worth taking the risk? Just eat the right things. Meat has been fantastic. Yes, I know people get good results going on vegetarian and vegan diets initially too, especially if they're cutting out processed foods and sugar, which is not always done on vegan and vegetarian diets. But for the few people who are doing it for actual health reasons, they see a benefit because they're cutting out processed food, but they're still not getting enough nutrients from their food if all they're eating is fruits and vegetables. And they're still struggling with insulin resistance and the other issues that creates. So going all meat eliminates those problems and also supplies the other vitamins that you need that you're not getting from vegetables. And there are a number of other proteins and vitamins and nutrients that are found naturally in meat that are not found naturally or in the quantities that they would be in vegetables. So when you also consider the fact that there's not very many cave paintings of salads and fruits out there, but there's lots of cave paintings of people hunting animals, we can assume this is probably the diet we've been eating for a very long time, long before we started having all these overweight and rapid chronic health problems on the rise that we have these days. The carnivore bar compared to movie theater snack prices, it's no competition. With a tub of popcorn running you over $14, I'd much rather enjoy the salty, crunchy, meaty goodness of a carnivore bar any day. And I don't have to cheat to enjoy my night out. Carnivore bar. Save 10 to 20% when you use my link in the description of this video.
When you're diagnosed with a mental or autoimmune disorder, diet and the state of your gut isn't even mentioned. If it is brought up, you're ostracized. One of the leading theories, to get a bit nerdy, in understanding chronic illness is increased intestinal permeability, which you can measure with lab work with zonulin levels. In a healthy digestive system, the gut lining serves as a barrier, allowing nutrients to pass through while keeping harmful substances out of the bloodstream. However, because of the high carb recommendations and ultra-processed foods we're exposed to and chemicals, we're currently encouraged to consume from the food pyramid and our doctors. Our diets damage our gut barrier, which causes particles from the gut to leak into the bloodstream. A lot of the chemicals and preservatives in foods we consume are actually illegal in other countries. I've spent years so livid at the medical industry that I wouldn't go into a hospital. How dare I be treated with medications and end up losing joints when dietary intervention works?
Yeah.
How dare these medical doctors tell me there was nothing I can do? I'd never be where I am today without this diet. I truly believed I would have died. I'm not suggesting the average person does this extreme version of a ketogenic diet. I am specifically suggesting that this diet is researched as a potential treatment for autoimmunity and psychiatric disorders with the goal of eventually healing the gut and reintroducing more healthy, whole foods, and that the ideological war on meat needs to end.
Yeah.
I've seen tens of thousands of people see complete remission in as little as 6 weeks. Most drugs don't work that fast, and no drug fixes the root cause.
Good point.
Approximately 1 in 4 Americans are on psychiatric medications for psychiatric illness, and approximately 1 in 10 has an autoimmune disorder. I believe all these millions of people could be symptom-free with proprietary diet proper dietary interventions ranging from low carb to ketogenic to plant-free ketogenic to whole food, depending on the severity of the illness. Dietary intervention is what doctors should suggest first before putting people on medications that do not treat the underlying problem, some of which cause horrible dependence, making them nearly impossible to get off of. Treating chronic disease, which we now know is caused by the environment and our diet, without looking at diet as the treatment, should be considered malpractice. My request, shared by millions of people using these diets to treat themselves, is for the government to fund studies on ketogenic and plant-free ketogenic diets as potential treatments for autoimmunity and psychiatric disorders. There are only a few studies on this because of the lack of funding. One study shows remission in treatments of Crohn's disease, which is a terrible intestinal autoimmune disorder that can result in people using colostomy bags for the rest of their life. Another study shows complete remission of anorexia. Unless people start being treated with dietary interventions, using these ketogenic diets, and the food pyramid prioritizes meat and low-carb whole foods so that people can avoid becoming chronically ill in the first place, and Americans are told that the ultra-processed foods aren't just unhealthy, they're making us chronically ill, America's going to get fatter, sicker, more mentally ill, and more expensive. If the government funds these studies, America could be at the forefront of these scientific discoveries. Thank you very much for your time. It's an honor to be here.
Amen.
Thank you.
I don't disagree with anything she said about whole foods, and not necessarily everybody needs this extreme of a diet, but I can tell you that there are a lot of people who need this extreme of a diet, because I go out in the public on a regular basis and see people and I'm like, my goodness, everybody is out of shape, to the point that it's like scary how many people are morbidly obese. And I know that there's a solution right in front of their face, but they can't see it because they've been lied to for too doggone long. And bringing this to light is probably the most important thing that could happen right now, because it is by far the most detrimental thing that's going on in everybody that's out there, specifically in our country, but in other countries around the world where they've been lied to about food as well. I mean, it's causing us to have problems with our children in school. It's causing us to have more violent responses to things. If it's causing people to have neurological or brain issues, which I got to say, I had anger issues that I couldn't deal with very well prior to eating this way. So if I was susceptible to it, I can't help but look and think, well, maybe the guys who went into the movie theater with an AR-15, maybe that wouldn't have happened if they weren't already going nuts from the stuff that's in their food. I'm not saying that was the key thing that led up to that, but if more and more people are experiencing mental health disorder because of the food they're eating, then certainly some of the things we're seeing as a result of mental health disorder are resulting from the food we're eating. And even though I tend to stick with the lion diet for my long-term health benefits, because I've tried to add things back in and I just can't seem to add anything back in that doesn't cause me trouble. So sticking with lion diet works for me. And I'd like it to continue to work for me as long as I can afford to do it. But meat prices just keep going up at a rate that is just insane. It makes it harder. And part of that is because of the government's interference into all this. So if we can get government on the right page about this, maybe 1, it'll bring some of the cost down. 2, it'll bring the awareness up. 3, it'll bring about companies who want to profit off of this new get healthy movement and start making actually healthy food rather than just making packages that say it's healthy and then getting some researcher to say that it's healthy, because it's actually not healthy. And that's what I would like to see change. But anyway, I guess this is pretty much the end of the video. Let's wrap it up.
Mikhaila, by the way, the format of this is opening statements. If there are some questions following up, again, I'll encourage the panelists just do that. How did you arrive at it? I mean, what doctors, I mean, just do this on your own with your father, or, I mean, how did you come to this solution?
So originally, the processed foods are just eating meat. That was sheer desperation. So my autoimmune symptoms started to come back after I had a baby and got off all the medications. And I knew that I had got them under control in the first place with diet, and that wasn't doing enough for me. And so I figured, Why not reduce my diet to one variable that I hope is sustainable? Turns out it is sustainable. That was mostly based on hope. And then the idea was to reintroduce other foods and figure out what was causing reactions. Now, I'm still on the diet, which is why research needs to be done. Maybe if research is done, we can figure out why,
So
how to get other foods in.
You did this all on your own? There's no doctor that recommended this to you? You just did this strictly on your own?
Oh yeah, my rheumatologist dropped me. My doctors dropped me. It was infuriating.
Well, again, thank you for sharing that story.
Hey.
Well, Dr. Sean Baker helped her. I know that. So there was one doctor that helped, but that wasn't her primary care doctor, so she didn't mention that. But Dr. Sean Baker was somebody who helped influence her on the meat concept, and it changed things for her. And I'm glad it did, because it changed things for her father. And I'm glad it did, because when I saw his story and then I saw her story, it changed things for me too. And it can change things for you as well. If you decide that you're going to get off this merry-go-round and stop eating this ultra-processed garbage, stop eating the sugar, stop eating the seed oils, it's going to take a lot of discipline on your part to recognize those things if you're going to try to eat various foods just eliminating those things. But it's a whole lot easier, I found, just to go straight with a carnivore diet. Specifically for me, the lion diet worked because it eliminates the most variables from your diet that could be causing the problem. And the food is delicious. So I have no complaints. It's not like when I used to eat salads trying to get in shape, being miserable while everybody else was eating hamburgers. I'm eating a ribeye steak while everybody else is eating French fries and bread and stuff like that I just don't have any appeal for anymore. I don't find that stuff attractive to me anymore. And I love it. And I want you to love it too. I want you to love the experience of life without all of the stuff that you don't even know is hampering you right now from experiencing the best life you can live, from experiencing clear thought, from experiencing good physical condition. I know I didn't experience it most of my life. And now that I know it can be done, I want everyone to do it. So I thank you for those of you who watch these videos, because when you watch and share and like and subscribe and all the things that YouTube wants us to do, it helps me get this information to more people who might not have heard about Mikhaila Peterson, but maybe they saw that you watched this video or YouTube suggested it to friends of yours because you were watching several of mine. I thank you. I also thank the supporters who buy things like the merch that I have made for the carnivore movement, which is available in my merch shop. There is a link in the description, or you can just go to ferrignofreedom.com and go to the merchandise section, and you can see my merch shop as well as all the other different things that I use, like air fryers and kitchen utensils and salt and whatever else that I can get my hands on that makes this way of living easy in the 21st century, where we're constantly bombarded with information about all the food that is not food. You can see all of that on my website as well. There are links in the description. I also want to thank all of you patrons out there who have supported me, many of you, some for several years. Thank you so much. I couldn't do this without your help. It has made it possible for me to get more people into a healthy lifestyle, and I thank you for that. And with that, I'll see you guys next time. God bless.
If we pay extra, could we maybe get some grease or fat?
They're having the Hack Your Health event, used to be known as KetoCon, right down the road from where I live in Tampa, Florida. The event isn't until November of 2025, but the one reason it's worth taking a look at right now is because the prices are way lower than they have been in the past, up until Halloween of this year. And with my discount code Dante, D-A-N-T-E, you get an additional $100 off your purchase. Now, I don't get paid anything for that. This is something I'm simply doing because I love what my friend Robin has done with the Hack Your Health event, because we're all on the same path of hacking our health for the best we can do in the society we live in. Without community, you feel like you're all alone out there trying to do this on your own. But when you see other people changing their lives simply by changing the things that they eat or doing something as extreme as a carnivore diet, well, I can tell you the only thing extreme about it has been how extremely good I feel and how much it has changed my life. It's a lot of fun to go to the event. You get to see a lot of gizmos that people are offering, a lot of the different carnivore snacks and keto snacks that are available, things you'll get to try while you're there. But even more important than all the vendors that are there, you're going to have information galore. Hearing all the different speakers that have so much knowledge, so much information to impart us with, it's going to open a lot of eyes. Hack Your Health is going to be awesome. So come on down to Tampa. I plan to be there, and I hope to see you there too.